Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Avengers Doomsday is beginning production Doomsday. The mystery lineup of which Avengers will be the targets of Dr. Doom is coming into focus as various casting reports and rumors and fitness trainer social posts are adding big names to the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, the Thunderbolts, Doctor Strange, Chris Evans, new surprises like Elizabeth Olsen, Charlie Cox, Haley Atwell, and maybe a scoop that we independently looked into that a new Black Panther could appear as well. So I'm going to break down everything we have heard about Avengers Doomsday, which Avengers will be in the crossfire, and what this casting tells us about the plot of the movie. This is a recurring series that we will be bringing back as more news comes out, so let us break down Doom's list. Okay, on January 2nd, 2025, Production Weekly posted a December 12th production report for Avengers Doomsday that posted the production start date as late March 2025 in London, expected to wrap sometime around August 2025, and included the following as the cast: Robert Downey Jr., Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Ebon Moss, not Ebon Moss-Bachrach, Tom Holland, Elizabeth Olsen, Sebastian Stan, Florence Pugh, Wyatt Russell, David Harbour, Hannah John Kamen, Olga Kurylenko, Chris Evans, Anthony Mackie, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Haley Atwell. It also states at the bottom, Ana de Armas is mentioned for a role. Now, you may have seen production listings like this before, and these are posted to a subscription periodical called Production Weekly that often lists production reports that look like this, but the castings that we see on these aren't always final, and our policy is that nothing is real until the studio or people who actually work on the film confirm it. But the big takeaway from this report is that Elizabeth Olsen could be returning, which is interesting, especially after Agatha All Along seemed to indicate that the Scarlet Witch Wanda Maximoff is dead in the 616 MCU, or she isn't, or she is. All we really saw of Wanda was a corpse in a morgue that was part of a spell-induced illusion, so we don't really know. Also, this mention of Ana de Armas. De Armas has been speculated since she was claimed to have been in talks for this movie in December, according to scooper Daniel RPK. Many are thinking she could be playing a very important character from the 2015 Jonathan Hickman Time Runs Out Secret Wars crossover comic storyline, and Avengers Secret Wars are adapting Yabat Umon Taru, aka Black Swan. More on her in a bit. But the rest of the cast listed here all lines up with what has already been reported. Like, it was reported that as many as 60 MCU characters are returning in this film. Upon the announcement of Avengers Doomsday at San Diego Comic-Con in 2024, the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige confirmed that Robert Downey Jr. would be playing Dr. Victor Von Doom, and that returning in this film would be the Fantastic Four from First Steps, as well as the Thunderbolts. Yes, that full lineup, maybe including even Taskmaster Olga Kurylenko, even though a lot of us think she's gonna die in the first half of that movie. Now, Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, had already indicated he would be coming back for the next Avengers movie in a Netflix retrospective video from June 2024.
Very much looking forward to Avengers next year, which is cooking up a storm.
And later in 2024, Benedict Cumberbatch confirmed that he was definitely part of the Doomsday version of the film, telling Japanese news outlet TV Groove, "I'm really excited not only to work with the Russo brothers again, but to have Robert Downey Jr. returning as Dr. Doom. I think there's going to be some really cool developments ahead." Tom Holland was confirmed to return as Spider-Man Peter Parker by The Hollywood Reporter in October. And then on December 9th, The Wrap reported that Chris Evans is returning for Doomsday, writing, quote, "Evans will be involved in some capacity, but the extent and the exact nature of his role is unknown." And then when Deadline reported that news, they included the detail that their own sources were relaying that Anthony Mackie will also return for Avengers Doomsday as the current Captain America of the MCU, which they reported makes it less likely that Evans would be back as the primary Captain America. And shortly after that, scooper Jeff Snyder shared an unconfirmed claim that Chris Evans would be playing a Nomad-era Steve Rogers. Then on December 13th, Deadline reported that Haley Atwell will return as Agent Carter in Avengers Doomsday. And then since then, the third and final season of the What If animated series has released, ending with that Captain Carter version of Peggy that had received the Super Soldier Serum and went on to lead the Guardians of the Multiverse and another team of superpowered female Watchers, it turned out, ultimately sacrificed her life and got erased from all realities. So the Peggy Carter that Atwell will play in Doomsday won't be a juiced up superhero, but rather what I would argue is the more interesting red-hatted spy Agent Carter. Now, not mentioned in the December 12th Production Weekly listing, maybe because this just came up in the final days of December, was Charlie Cox. On December 30th, a fitness gym in Perth, Australia posted on Instagram a photo with Charlie Cox and his wife, leading fans to wonder what Cox would be getting in shape for if not for this upcoming Avengers Doomsday shoot. Now, I would counter to that, maybe Daredevil Born Again Season 2, which is confirmed to be shooting sometime in 2025, or maybe just for his general health. I don't know. That amount of sweat is something only an Avenger actor would care enough about their fitness to work that much up. Can you imagine how unhinged it would be for me to announce that my email password is RDJ2008, or to casually toss out that my home address is 5000 Nunya Street? That information should be private, but a lot of websites will take it anyhow and sell it to anyone who's willing to pay a few dollars. Delete Me lets you take back control of your data because they agree that your data should be yours and yours alone. Delete Me is a hands-free subscription service that helps you reduce the risks of identity theft and scams by removing your data from hundreds of data broker sites. It's super easy to use. You take 5 minutes to submit your info to Delete Me. Their experts comb through the internet looking for places your data shouldn't be, and they remove it and send you a report on what they've done. Delete Me works all year long to remove things like your name, address, email address, phone number, and more from data broker sites, and they're constantly adding new features and updating their removal targets to help you get back control over your personal data. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/rockstars and use promo code Rockstars at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/rockstars and use code Rockstars. Thank you, Delete Me, for sponsoring this video. Now, one other possible scoop we wanted to include in this video came directly to us from a source we will not name who works as a performer on the Disney Wish cruise line, who described those Marvel Studios related videos like the one you might have seen with America Chavez and Riri Williams and Cassie Lang. In the description we received from this source, there is a recurring show for younger audiences that might not have more adults with their smartphones out recording it, in which Black Panther T'Challa greets kids until he's interrupted by a Wakandan aide who says, "My king, we need you back in Wakanda. There is a situation." And T'Challa responds, "What's so important that you cannot handle it yourself?" And then the Wakandan aide says, "Doom." Now, the source says it could literally refer to a disastrous situation back in Wakanda, but the way it's said, it's referring to Dr. Doom. Now, you may be flashing back to the never confirmed concept art suggesting that there was at one point a post-credit scene to Black Panther Wakanda Forever that would have involved Dr. Doom. I don't really know what to make of this T'Challa scoop, because these Marvel displays on Disney cruises are about as canon as anything you see in Disney parks and experiences. And when you go to Avengers Campus in Disneyland, you can see T'Challa, Black Panther, still alive, waving at you. You can see Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, still there. Deadpool is there making jokes about Disney's wrongful death lawsuit. So if someone were to reference Dr. Doom at some overpriced Disney thing, does that mean that character is showing up in Avengers Doomsday? Hey, maybe. I mean, Disney and Marvel make these movies to get our butts into their parks and cruises where they can really profit from us. Beyond the names we've mentioned as either confirmed or speculated, let's run through a couple other assumed options, starting with Simu Liu. Shang-Chi was assumed to be in the previous version of Avengers 5 when it was Kang Dynasty, still being directed by the Shang-Chi director, Destin Daniel Cretton. Shang-Chi remains a major player and a beloved star of the universe, but there is one thing that might count against him. Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings was, to many surprise, the first MCU film to not receive distribution in China. There are many possible reasons we could point to as why the mysterious Chinese film board didn't distribute this film, from Chinese audiences increasingly souring on Western depictions of Chinese traditions and culture, which was also the case with the live-action Mulan film. But some have speculated that a few comments from Simu Liu over the years about his Chinese Canadian heritage might have put him on that shadowy blacklist that Richard Gere and Brad Pitt have been rumored to be on, of actors whose films will never get past the Chinese film board. And hey, you could say after Disney shelled out hundreds of millions of dollars for the Russo brothers and Robert Downey Jr., Disney needs Doomsday to play in China. But if you look into Liu's comments, they were completely harmless, and he's always had really the best take on these media narratives, so I don't think any of this would really count against him being in the movie. I just thought I would give that context. Next, Brie Larson, Captain Marvel Carol Danvers, along with Shang-Chi, seems to be a key member of the Avengers, and technically the last active current era Avenger we saw in a major film. After Avengers Endgame, it's kind of hard to imagine an Avengers movie without her. Similarly, Benedict Wong as Wong probably makes at least an appearance. Like in Phase 4, it's been the Wong Cinematic Universe. Now, Chris Hemsworth as Thor and Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner Hulk, we've heard very little about. And similar to their no-show status in Captain America Civil War, I think we could imagine Marvel Studios maybe saving them for Secret Wars. We know Thor will have to return at some point to answer that Deadpool question from Deadpool Deadpool and Wolverine, why was Thor crying? Now, Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, Ant-Man, we once saw as a key part of the Avengers in the Kang Dynasty version of Avengers 5 as the one member of the Avengers who had gone up against a Kang. And we have had quite a bit of fun with the so-and-so, I needed to distract Kang memes. But I don't know if Scott Lang will be as important to the story when it's Doctor Doom posing the threat. Now, Charlize Theron as Clea, I feel a lot more confident about, because after the Multiverse of Madness post-credit scene, I don't see how Marvel explains how Doctor Strange returns from the Dark Dimension without at least touching on what he has been doing with Clea. Several of the rumors we've heard about Avengers Doomsday is that it will be a Doctor Strange-centered story. And let's remember that Strange was attached to both the Kang Dynasty version and the Doomsday version, and Cumberbatch was the first Avenger actor announced. Meanwhile, all the rest, Guardians of the Galaxy and Star-Lord, Rhodey, Hawkeye, the Eternals, Valkyrie, Moon Knight, Vision, Kamala Khan, Monica Rambeau, Hercules, She-Hulk, Kate Bishop, Riri Williams. We haven't heard really anything about these actors returning in Doomsday, at least as of this taping. But, we've only covered a third of the 60 possible MCU characters, so there's a ways to go on Doom's list. But if Ana de Armas is playing Black Swan, just that information alone could be key to unlocking everyone else's role in this movie. In Jonathan Hickman's Time Runs Out storyline, Black Swan was born Yabat Amun Taru, a princess from a reality where the stars had disappeared. Her world was suffering an incursion where the Black Priests descended and massacred the people of her hidden city. She could, though, access the Library of Worlds, which is a nexus of reality. And there she found the Great Ladies, aka the Black Swans, who raised them as one of their own to serve a mysterious figure called Rabum Alal, aka the Great Destroyer. And we later find out that Rabum Alal was the alias of Dr. Victor Von Doom from Earth 616, the Doom who would later become God Emperor Doom, creator of Battleworld. There is a long series of very interesting events, and I highly recommend you read every part of this storyline because it's going to be crucial to the stories ahead. But there are like Kurgan conflicts, there are run-ins with Black Swan and T'Challa and Namor of the 616 Universe Illuminati. There's Black Swan joining the Cabal, and eventually in the 616 versus 1610 incursion, Black Swan boarded a life raft, and that life raft crash lands in Battleworld, and there she seeks out Rabam Alal, aka God Emperor Doom, and serves him. So in Avengers Doomsday, Ana de Armas would be kind of a priestess warrior from another doomed universe who had been going universe by universe with DNA and brain scans of her loved ones seeking refuge to regrow her people, with a very complicated history with Robert Downey Jr.'s God Emperor Doom, and would be really kind of like the gateway character for our Avengers and Fantastic Four to understand how incursions work and what Dr. Doom has been doing. It would be similar to what Gamora's relationship with Thanos in Infinity War. The Avengers lineup I broke down could represent Marvel heroes from several universes affected by incursions. The Fantastic Four, we already know, come from another universe. Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, and Haley Atwell, Peggy Carter could come from a branch universe that was formed after Steve returned the Infinity Stones in Avengers Endgame, something I explored in another video. This could also be how they bring in a T'Challa, Black Panther, from another universe. But why would all these multiversal heroes be here in 616? Like, what would their task be? Well, when you have MCU stories like this with a wide spectrum of heroes with varying power sets and god tiers and multiversal backgrounds, filmmakers like the Russo brothers and writers like Stephen McFeely understand that you have to personalize the mission. It can't just be a matter of overpowering and defeating the villain or fighting him and his army and his doom bots a whole bunch of times. What's more interesting is to think of the plot as something like a heist or a chase or a race, a game of keep away around a specific MacGuffin, or a rescue mission, a treasure hunt, or a revenge quest, something that would require a variety of skills and knowledge sets and histories to justify a cast of 60 heroes that would include wizards and gods and super soldiers and assassins and just street level vigilantes. And when you look at the most recent Marvel titles, the new MCU element that Kevin Feige seems the most excited about is the idea of anchor beings that was introduced in Deadpool and Wolverine, an individual specific to one universe that when that person dies, it triggers the death spiral of that universe. In press junkets, Kevin Feige loved when people asked about anchor beings and who the anchor being of the 616 universe is. Is it Tony Stark or Doctor Strange or Peter Parker or Wanda? I've been suspecting that anchor beings is going to be Marvel Studios' analog for what Owen Reese Molecule Man is in Hickman's Time Runs Out storyline, essentially a kind of WMD in every universe that should they die, the whole universe expires. After the MacGuffins of Infinity War and Endgame were Infinity Stones, the MacGuffin of this movie could just be a person, a race to the anchor being of the 616 MCU, whoever that is, with help coming from heroes from other universes that have already been destroyed by Doctor Doom. Doctor Strange could believe the anchor being is him. Kevin Feige did refer to Benedict Cumberbatch at a press event in the past as the anchor of the Marvel multiverse, but maybe then it becomes a protection mission for who everyone actually thinks is the anchor being, Peter Parker, whose identity only Doctor Strange knows after the memory wipe spell of No Way Home. And it could be a protection mission to stop Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom from trying to kill this kid. The Avengers obviously would refuse to give up Peter, and then the Earth of 616 would find itself in a doomsday scenario that will lead to Battleworld and Secret Wars. Now, I'm not writing this movie. This is just just a pitch that is just one of the many ways it could go. I'm just trying to reconcile how the Russos and McFeely are adapting the events of Hickman's comic storyline, which I'm sure is the general game plan, using the game pieces of the cinematic universe as that game board has been set since Endgame. But it's gonna be a dark road ahead for whoever gets chosen for this Doomsday, because you don't get on the Dooms list unless you're doomed. Hey, New Rockstars now has a channel membership where you can just hit that join button down by subscribe and get access to custom emotes, and in a new support tier that we just launched, access to select breakdowns completely ad-free. That means no ad breaks from YouTube, no internal brand plugs, no weird stuff floating around my head, just the content itself. We're gonna be doing that for special rewatch breakdown series like the Road to Daredevil Born Again rewatch that we're gonna be doing this year. We will still release all of our content as normal here on the standard version of our channel on YouTube. There's not gonna be any changes in that regard. This is just gonna be something a little extra we do for supporters who are able and willing to help us out. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/rockstars and use promo code rockstars at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/rockstars and use promo code rockstars. Thank you, Delete Me, for sponsoring this video. Hey, comment down below with your thoughts on all this. Subscribe to New Rockstars and please hit that join button to support the channel as a member. Follow me at EA Voss. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.